Kathy. Welcome to the Colorful Homeschooler Podcast, where we parlay on productivity, personality, passions, education, and theory. I'm a lover of Jesus, a wife of 20 years, and a homeschool mama of 4 special needs boys who keep me constantly active. I'm so glad you're here to join me. Pull up a chair. There's space for you at this table. Hey everyone, it's planning time. Productivity check, goals check, checking how your word is working for you through the year. I'm sitting here right now with a hailstorm going on outside. Not so much March coming in like a lion and going out like a lamb. Hopefully more like April showers bring May flowers. I enjoy those euphemisms. How about you? I always like to check and see if they're coming true or not. But March is coming in like a lion and going out like a lion. So we'll see how April comes around. It's Boise, though, so they always say, wait 5 minutes and the weather will change. This hailstorm's been going on for a little while, though. My kids and I went out in it, and the hail was pretty big. So it's time to plan our next season. We did a goals episode for the new year and also choosing your word for the new year, and I'll link those in the show notes. But let's check in for the new season. The spring brings so much beauty with it. I feel like I'm waking up with the plants and flowers as the doldrums of winter give way to some sunshiny days. But there's a lot that happens in spring, on top of there being the summer coming up right after it. So let's put our planning hats on to get organized for these upcoming seasons. We'll also check in on our goals. I also want to let you know that I've developed a lovely spring planner using my own artwork, so it's beautifully illustrated, and it's for sale on Etsy. I'll link it in the show notes, and it has some spring cleaning checklists, calendar plan-outs of crafts, hikes, nature studies, lesson plans, brainstorming pages, natural cleaning tips and tricks, and so much more. I tried to price it really affordably, and I'd love for you to check it out. But let's get started. So brew up some hibiscus tea and light a flowery candle. Let's open with a poem about spring. Daisy Time by Marjorie Pickthall. See, the grass is full of stars, fallen in their brightness. Hearts they have of shining gold, rays of shining whiteness. Buttercups have honeyed hearts, bees, they love the clover. But I love the daisies' dance all the meadow over. Blow, oh blow, you happy winds, singing summer's praises. Up the field and down the field, a-dancing with the daisies. Spring. So with any planning session, the first thing to do is look at the upcoming months of April and May and look at what your must-dos are. What are the things which you cannot miss and sometimes you can't even choose? Are there parties, office events, homeschool conventions, a work trip? The kind of things that are musts. Those need to be put on the calendar first so everything else can be planned around it. And we don't have to feel stressed at the moment when those come up because we already knew it was coming and we made sure that they were locked in on our calendar. So let's start with life planning. The most fun thing for looking ahead is celebrations. Hopefully that's the most fun thing. I guess some can be ones that you're not really looking forward to if we're honest. But what's coming up with your family? Are there any graduations? A wedding? A big birthday? Or, in my case, a string of summer birthdays, Easter or Passover meals. Do you need gifts for these upcoming celebrations as you think of them? Are you hosting any of them? Have you contacted those you want to invite and/or sent out save the dates? Are you going somewhere else for these celebrations? So do you need to bring something? Do you need to book travel for it? Do you know what you need to bring? And if not, can you be the first one to choose? So therefore you get kind of pick of the litter. How about the deep clean that so many of us associate with spring? Some seasonal sensory changes are always welcome. Freshen up your window treatments to let in some more light. Switch out your candle scents or essential oil mixtures. Do you know that you can make homemade air fresheners in an 8-ounce spray bottle? You just take distilled or tap water, add a little bit of vodka or rubbing alcohol to it, and this will make the essential oils and water mix more thoroughly
and it also helps it to dry faster. If you don't use any alcohol, you can also add vanilla extract to achieve the same outcome, but it has to be real vanilla extract. Then add your favorite essential oils or mixtures to it. Here you go, carcinogen-free air freshener ready to be sprayed throughout your home. I put a bunch of recipes in my spring planner that I published, but there are a couple spring mixes that I'm going to tell you about right now. They perk up the house in the beginning of spring. Martha Stewart's Bathroom Room Spray consists of that 8-ounce spray bottle, and you add 20 drops of bergamot, 15 drops of thyme, and 10 drops geranium oil to 2 cups of water and 1 tablespoon of vodka. Her kitchen spray is that same 2 cups of water, but with 15 drops of lemongrass, 10 drops of peppermint, and 5 drops of basil oil. Now, these sprays are capable of attaching to food molecules to rid the room of their scent while also deodorizing it and getting rid of the particles themselves so they don't settle on the top of your cabinets. In the kitchen, for a fresh smell, you can also freeze citrus rinds and grind them up in the garbage disposal. You can simmer a few slices of citrus in water, or you can bake fresh citrus in the oven for that lovely scent. Or you can place a 1/2 inch of white vinegar in a bowl on the counter for the day. This will also cleanse foul smells from the air and also attaches itself to those errant molecules to rid the house of them. As far as spring cleaning goes, I'd like to interject something here. I always try to make sure people know that we all have seasons where the deep clean just isn't possible. Perhaps we are writing our novel along with homeschooling. Maybe we're podcasting and Instagramming to try to make some money for our family. Or maybe we're just plain exhausted from nursing an infant. Lillian Gilbreth, one of the first female engineers to earn a degree in the field, said, "Keeping a spotless house is like putting pearls on a string with no knot." I love that quote because all of us ladies know that housework is never ending. In some seasons, your fan blades will stay dusty. That's okay. My planner that I put out does have cleaning checklists to give you some perspective. Do the tasks you think will be beneficial to your family. Maybe it's just 2 or 3 or none at all. Be free. Wherever you are is right for you. Okay, so we've covered kind of the what's coming up right now and our musts. So now let's look ahead to next season. We're not done with spring yet, but the next step would be to look ahead to next season. This is important at this point because our next season is summer. So vacations are coming up. Have you booked your hotel, your flight, or your campsite? Have you checked your camping equipment or suitcases and replaced or mended whatever is needed? My husband and I just were able to check some of our camping equipment and found that certain things were missing or maybe needed some upkeep after last season. We don't always remember to do this, so we've been trying to get much more disciplined with it because nobody wants to show up to a campsite and realize, oh shoot, that sleeping pad from last season has a big hole in it. And then which kid are you going to not give a sleeping pad to? For my boys with special needs, if anything is out of the ordinary, it's going to be an issue. So make sure to check those now so that you can either replace them right away or budget to replace them. So how about your garden? Have you decided on your layout for this year? Are you doing a tea garden, an herb garden, concentrating on flowers, or perhaps trying to switch to a xeriscaping layout? That's a fancy word for sustainable low-water alternatives. Also, have you checked your sprinklers for how they did over the winter? Your wooden garden boxes, any planting areas, are they still intact? Do they need any upkeep before the season begins? Have you mulched or ground covered? Is it time to remove some of that? Is it time to put down fresh? Have you ordered your seeds or your starters yet? Have you begun your indoor starts, or do you know when you need to? Have you pruned your fruit trees and roses? You're coming up on that point in most planting districts that it's going to be a little too late to do that. So get on that. How about your yard? Beyond spring cleaning, and again, have a bunch of checklists in my planner linked in the show notes, but what about new yard decor for the spring or summer? Are you planning any large projects, spring, summer-wise? A tree house, new planting beds, or fresh yard decor? Do you need new pillows or coverings? Plan out your purchases for these projects and a timetable of when you want each part of the project done. Break it down into its smallest steps and plan each of those steps when you want to complete them by. I went over the way to plan out larger projects in my first episode, Productivity for the Homeschool Mama. So check that one out. I lay it out in easy step-by-step fashion. Let's move on to spring school planning. The lessons I think of first with a change of season are always nature study lessons. What do you want to study for spring? Do you want to learn about baby birds, caterpillars to butterflies, the life cycle of a mayfly, the parts of a flower, baby farm animals, photosynthesis, chickens, beans? How about the location and rotation of the earth? Once you decide, what field trips or nature walks can you go on to enhance that special study? What experiments or diagrams can you add to a nature notebook? What can you bring home to do a deeper object lesson for a science day? How about crafts for the season? Brainstorm which ones you would like to make. Check supplies, make sure you have them all, and order whatever you need. Then add those crafts to a calendar so you can make sure they get completed. Otherwise, you may get through the season and find you haven't finished many of them or even introduced them. So here are 3 examples of some fun spring crafts you can do with all ages. You can make a pomander for spring. I know these are associated with Christmas, but it's actually lovely to have this beautiful scent wafting through your home during the spring. So you pierce a citrus fruit with whole cloves and roll the final product in some aromatic spices. Hang these in a closet or around the classroom or even outside for the birds. Another craft is a colorful bird's nest helper. So you can make a suet feeder with small twigs or purchase a wire one and fill it with natural wool, alpaca, or wool roving. Find some leaves, grass, and moss while on your nature walks. Yarn, string, and fabric scraps are not recommended in these since birds can get entwined and caught in the fabrics, and a lot of the yarn will have plastics in it. Carefully scrunch everything into the suet feeder, close it, and pull a few pieces out by pushing a pencil or a small twig through it to pop some out the other side. Hang this from a pole or a fence post where you can see it, and watch your birdie friends come. Finally, what about a butterfly collage craft? Using twigs on plain, strong cardstock, make the shape of a butterfly. On a nature walk, gather early petals in a sustainable fashion in numerous colors, or decide on a single one. Fill in the butterfly shape with glue, and then design and organize your petals or leaves and grass. Once dry, hang it in a window. And don't think that this crafting should end with the older grades. How about art history? You can do a deep dive into landscape portraits or flower paintings, still lifes by Renoir, or pastorals by Rubens or Claude Lorraine. How about poetry? You can study pastoral poetry or nature poetry, like this one from Robert Frost. It's called The Tuft of Flowers. I went to turn the grass once after one, who mowed it in the dew before the sun. The dew was gone that made his blade so keen, before I came to view the leveled scene. I looked for him behind an aisle of trees. I listened for his whetstone on the breeze, but he had gone his way, the grass all mown, and I must be, as he had been, alone. As all must be, I said within my heart, whether they work together or apart. But as I said it, swift there passed me by, on noiseless wing, a wildered butterfly, seeking with memories grown dim o'er night, some resting flower of yesterday's delight. And once I marked his flight go round and round, as where some flower lay withering on the ground. And then he flew as far as eye could see, but then on tremulous wing came back to me. I thought of questions that have no reply, and would have turned to toss the grass to dry. But he turned first, and led my eye to look at a tall tuft of flowers beside a brook. A leaping tongue of bloom the scythe had spared, beside a reedy brook the scythe had bared. I left my place to know them by their name, finding them butterfly weed when I came. The mower in the dew had loved them thus, by leaving them to flourish, not for us, nor yet to draw one thought of ours to him, but from sheer morning gladness at the brim. The butterfly and I had lit upon, nevertheless, a message from the dawn, that made me hear the wakening birds around, and hear his long scythe whispering to the ground, and feel a spirit kindred to my own, so that henceforth I worked no more alone. But glad with him I worked as with his aid, and weary sought at noon with him the shade, and dreaming as it were held brotherly speech with one whose thought I had not hoped to reach. Men work together, I told him from the heart, whether they work together or apart. I chose this poem because we're all together in this homeschooling journey, in this parenting journey, even though we're apart. Women work together, even when we're apart. So some other lesson plan options. How about Shakespeare? You could jump into some Shakespeare with Midsummer Night's Dream. Super fun, love escapades, and beautiful nature. How about literature? Read aloud, books for yourself. Figure out what you'd like to read and reserve it or order it from Amazon. How about Bible studies? Do you know what you're studying right now? I'm in the midst of a Sermon on the Mount, quiet time, and it's been amazing. It's been eye-opening, and it's been touching my heart so much. And in nature, I'm that much closer to the Word of God that I'm reflecting on as I'm walking through the world outside, thinking about what I just read in my quiet time. What's going to touch your heart this season? Is it something about renewal and redemption? I've linked a couple in the show notes, but even just Googling the word of what you want to study and finding a good Bible study that goes along with that. Read the reviews. That's often very helpful. How about planning family outings for the season? Are there spring festivals that you want to attend? Music festivals? A baby animal farm or a historical reenactment? Do you want to have a family picnic before it gets too hot? Brainstorm through these options, list them out, and schedule them to lock in the dates so other plans can't come along and take those away. So we've looked at a lot of family options. How about you, ladies? Are you a crafter or an artist? What projects do you want to get done by the summer? Figure these out, make sure you have the necessary supplies, break them down into their parts, and plan out a time schedule to get them done by the date you need to be completed by. Do you have favorite fresh veggie or fruit recipes? New cookbooks you'd like to try? A hankering to bake some fresh bread or sourdough? Schedule it so it gets done. Okay, goal check. Let's push into your goals. Check out episode 9, Looking Ahead to a New Year, Plans and Goals of a Homeschool Mom, to hear my goals. Some goals are larger, so at least seasonally look at them and break them down into parts. And again, this was covered in episode 1. Schedule those parts so it doesn't become overwhelming. I had to do this year with my Disney trip. It was so large, and at the turn of the year, I had to break it into parts per month so I could schedule them and get started. When it is too big as humans, we shy away from what we think are impossible tasks. But if you break them down into their smallest parts and measure out goals for yourself with those, it seems much more manageable. So did this podcast get your brain moving? I hope so. Welcome to spring, everybody. I linked that new planner available on Etsy. Check it out. I made it affordable, and I tried to give some great direction for planning this season and looking ahead to the next. I have those cleaning tips and tricks, spring scents for essential oil mixes and room sprays, and checklists and brainstorming pages. Next week, I'm going to be doing an episode on staying healthy at the change of season. hey, come follow my Instagram. I'm doing a series right now reviewing different mushroom supplements like coffees, creamers, teas, and powders to get your mushrooms in. I also post on spring fitness fashion, hiking, easy food tips, and some new nutrition content. So I'd love for you to come follow me. If you enjoyed it, please share this with a friend. Give me 5 stars, and if you could take a moment to write a written review, it really would mean the world to me. Follow the show. I'll talk to you again next week, and remember, I believe in you.